The Lancer class is all about heroic spirits who use spears to fight. Or, well, that's what you'd think. Actually, not all of them do. Some use plants, earth, scythes, or even umbrellas. Yeah, don't overthink it. Honestly, Lancer is my favorite class. It's full of servants with a strong sense of dignity, fiery passion, and an incredibly stylish way of fighting. They're super agile, always darting around the battlefield, combining their speed with some seriously impressive spear play. Every time there's a Holy Grail war, I can't wait to see which Lancer shows up. But every single time, not one of them wins. Seriously, it's like the Lancer class has some kind of curse or something. They always seem to get the short end of the stick when it comes to the Grail War events. And it doesn't stop there. I've noticed that a lot of Lancers have really tragic and dark backstories, way more than heroic spirits in other classes. Of course, that's not always the case, but somehow there's always something terrible that happens to at least one Lancer in any given Holy Grail war. It's almost like being a Lancer means signing up for a lot of pain and heartbreak, but hey, maybe that's part of what makes them so compelling. Yeah, we can totally start by talking about our favorite Lancer, Uncle Bro. Cu Chulainn, aka Uncle Bro, has some of the worst luck in every Holy Grail war he's part of. No matter which route you go with, he always meets a tragic and downright brutal end. Like, how messed up is it that one time his own master literally ordered him to kill himself, using his own weapon? This whole unlucky streak has become such a running joke in the Fate series. It's so bad that in Carnival Phantasm, it turned into meme gold with the classic Lancer is dead meme. From getting yeeted by Herc like a throwable weapon, to being straight up eaten by Artoria, to crashing into the ceiling, getting wrecked in a race, and so much more ridiculous stuff. See? Somehow, this whole bad luck thing turned into an actual curse for the entire Lancer class. It's not just their tragic and heartbreaking legends. Even in the Fate series lore, Lancers are stuck with this ridiculous streak of bad luck. Honestly, I feel bad for them, but it's kind of hilarious at the same time. Like, you can't help but notice it after a while. So, I'm gonna dive into what I think are some of the worst examples of this so-called Lancer curse. These poor guys just can't catch a break. If you've got more examples, feel free to drop them in the comments, and hey, don't forget to subscribe while you're at it. After Cu Chulainn's tragic end, we can't skip over the fate of Diarmuid, another Lancer with absolutely awful luck. This guy is the definition of a loyal and honorable warrior, someone who takes his duty to his lord super seriously. Even in his lifetime, Diarmuid was known for his devotion and respect toward his king. But of course, fate had to throw him a curveball. The dude was too handsome for his own good. Seriously, he was so ridiculously good-looking that women couldn't help but fall for him, including his king's wife. And that's where the romance drama began. This clash between his looks and his loyalty became a huge source of conflict during his life, and it's even part of his legend. In Fate Zero, summoned as a Lancer, the guy just can't escape his cursed fate. Not only does he end up accidentally winning the affection of his master's wife, but he's also forced to watch as his master commands him to off himself, using his spear. All Diarmuid wanted was to fight with honor in the Holy Grail War. But even that simple wish gets crushed. Instead, he dies in one of the saddest, most tragic ways possible. Poor dude deserved so much better. Moving on to another Celtic hero, let's talk about Skaha. Despite being a fan-favorite servant, her fate is far from ideal. Skaha is legendary for her insane strength and immortality. She's the one who trained Cu Chulainn and carries herself with honor and dignity. But the Lancer curse? Yeah, it doesn't cut her any slack either. In Fate series, she's this super strong, unstoppable warrior, but If you're familiar with something called the Worf effect, you'll know where this is going. Basically, the Worf effect is when a powerful character gets taken down just to show how scary or strong a new enemy is. It's named after Worf from Star Trek, who's supposed to be this badass warrior, but constantly gets wrecked to hype up the villains. Same goes for Chad and the Vizards in Bleach. Characters everyone knows are strong, but are always used as punching bags to raise the stakes. Skaha falls into the same trap. She's known for being practically unbeatable, but she constantly gets outdone, knocked down, or sidelined for narrative drama. And if that's not bad enough, the Lancer curse hits her in a different, brutal way. She's immortal. So every time she takes what should be a fatal wound, she doesn't get to die. She just has to lie there, endure the pain, and wait to heal. Another insanely strong Lancer we have to talk about is Karna. This guy's a legendary hero, known worldwide for his sheer power, but also for how tragic and unlucky his life was. Seriously, his whole story is just one misfortune after another. In his myth, he fought against the Pandava brothers, only to see his son and brothers killed by them. If that wasn't bad enough, he ended up fighting Arjuna without Arjuna even knowing they were siblings. Karna's story is full of this kind of tragic irony. But despite it all, he's remembered for his kindness and generosity, earning titles like the Hero of Charity and the Hero of Benevolence. Now in the Fate series, where, of course, he gets summoned as a Lancer. And, as if his life wasn't tragic enough, the Lancer curse makes it all so much worse. In Fate Apocrypha, Karna gets summoned as a servant, but his master is captured, and he's forced to follow Shiro Kotomine orders instead. Being the moral and noble guy he is, Karna doesn't really agree with Shiro's plans, but he still feels obligated to obey because, well, that's just who he is. Things get worse when he fights Sieg. On paper, Karna should have easily won a one-on-one against Sieg. But nope, the fight was anything but fair. Sieg transforms into Siegfried. Karna's noble phantasm gets ambushed by Astolfo, flying in with Achilles' shield, and in the end, Sieg pulls out a hidden sword at the last second to finish him off. Just count how many manpower was needed to take down this guy. If it weren't for all those curveballs, Karna would have destroyed Sieg in a clean fight. Then there's his role in the America arc. Once again, he faces off against Arjuna, and just when things are heating up, Ku Alter ambushes him. Karna takes a fatal wound in that fight and loses again, despite giving it his all. Sure, he manages to shake Arjuna's resolve a bit before going down, but it's still such a frustratingly unfair end. No matter how strong Karna is, and let's be real, he's one of the strongest Lancers out there. The Lancer curse just keeps throwing him into these awful, unfair situations. It's like he's destined to always lose in ways that feel almost cruel. But what makes him stand out is his unshakable moral compass. Even with all the unfairness he's faced, he never lets it get to him. He doesn't hold grudges or feel bitter about it. There's this great moment when Astolfo asks him how he feels about everything he's been through. Instead of complaining or showing any resentment, Karna just says he feels satisfied. He accepts his fate with grace and dignity, which is honestly kind of inspiring. Enkidu, surprisingly, isn't spared from the infamous Lancer curse either, and honestly, his story might be one of the most heartbreaking. In life, he was created as a weapon by the gods to take down Gilgamesh. But over time, instead of being enemies, he became Gilgamesh's closest friend and rival. Everything was great, until a spoiled goddess decided to ruin it all. She went crying to the gods, asking them to take Enkidu back since, technically, he was their creation. And the gods, being the way they are, listened. Enkidu started to weaken, and eventually, his body dissolved back into the clay he was made from. Just gone. His Lancer curse hits in a hilariously cruel way. His body gets hijacked by some other entity and used as a weapon against humanity, the very people he once protected as their hero. During the whole Three-Goddess Alliance arc in Babylonia, Enkidu is stuck in this eternal inner conflict. A small fragment of his original self still lingers inside, just enough for him to feel everything he's doing. One moment, he's attacking humanity without hesitation. The next, he's looking up at the night sky and crying. And because it wouldn't be a Lancer story without betrayal, the curse strikes again. Even the Lamu, the very creatures that are supposed to be on his side, end up betraying him. Classic Lancer misfortune there. And no, we're not done yet. Since it's almost 11 minutes, let me quickly break down some other Lancer curses that I think are just brutal. First up, we have Artoria Lancer. Her curse? Spending her time as a Lancer completely devoid of her ideals, mindless, manipulated by her own knights. Then there's Artoria Lancer Alter, whose curse is, well, being forgotten by the developers after her debut. Harsh. Next is Inshun, who had to endure the hell of the Purgatorio event as a mindless zombie attacking innocent people. The manga version of this is especially brutal. I honestly feel bad for the guy. Then we have Brynhildr, who becomes bloodthirsty at the mere sight of her beloved. She's constantly stuck in this weird, sad state that's both unsettling and tragic. And of course, we can't forget Vlad, classic Lancer misfortune, betrayed by his own master. But it doesn't stop there. He gets transformed into the very monster he despises, and his body is hijacked by his master. Absolutely gut-wrenching. Melusine. Her Lancer curse takes the form of her transforming into a dragon and losing her mind completely. And Canis got summoned into the wrong body. Like, how does that even happen? Last on the list is Ereshkigal. Honestly, I don't need to tell you how much this girl has been through. She finally gets a bit of happiness, spending a short but sweet time with Fujimaru to celebrate Christmas. But right after that, Chaldea gets attacked by Koyanskaya, and just like that, Eresh is gone again. Who else do you think has the worst Lancer curse in the Fate series?